Jessica Tarlov, a popular Fox News personality, is often seen as the liberal voice on The Five, where she faces off against her conservative co-hosts. She has built a solid career as a political strategist and commentator, but you might be shocked to hear that, despite her confident on-screen attitude, she has gone through some challenging personal challenges. Let's examine the tragic aspects that have shaped her life, the hardships and loss. Experiences that show that her story is more nuanced than what we see on TV. One of Jessica's biggest disappointments was the death of her father, Mark Tarlov. In July 2021, Mark had a big influence on Jessica's life. He was a successful producer of movies like Serial Mom and Copycat, and was also a father. She has discussed how close they were and how losing him to cancer at the age of 69 was tough for her. It wasn't an abrupt loss, though. Mark had been battling his disease for years, so Jessica had to cope with it for a while before saying goodbye. That kind of sustained loss can leave a mark. And Jessica has had to cope with it while continuing to bring her typical humor and energy to the air. To exacerbate the situation, Jessica's mother, Judy Roberts, passed away a few years earlier in 2014. Judy, a writer and producer herself, died of cancer when Jessica was just 30 years old, leaving her and her sister Molly without their mother at a relatively young age. Losing both parents to the same disease is a heavy load, and it has affected Jessica's perspective on life. Although she has talked about focusing her grief on her family and career, it's clear that those hurts never really go away. Being in your 30s, beginning a career, and not having your parents to support you is something she has experienced. The difficulties she individually encounters don't stop there. Jessica had to navigate the difficult landscape of public life, especially on a conservative network as a leftist. She is used to criticism, which has sometimes turned ugly. Take her involvement in defamation lawsuits, where she has been sued twice for statements she made on television. In one instance, which was settled in 2023, a Florida businessman claimed she had falsely linked him to a dispute. Another, from a former official, continued with accusations of damaging Trump's reputation. Both times, Jessica had to apologize live, which is challenging when you're already under a lot of scrutiny. Most people are unaware of the extra stress brought on by the demands of that spotlight and the online trolls who have attacked her appearance and beliefs. Then comes her health scare that shook her world. In 2017, Jessica opened up about having Bell's palsy, a condition that causes temporary facial paralysis. She has described how abruptly it happened and how scary it was to wake up with half of her face frozen. For someone whose job involves being on camera, that would be a nightmare. Despite her recovery, the experience stayed with her as a reminder of how quickly things may go wrong. It's not the kind of tragedy that claims a life, but it was a personal battle that tested her resilience. There have been challenges associated with family life as well. Teddy was born in 2024, while Cleopatra was born in 2021. Jessica and her husband, Brian McKenna, have 2 young girls. She has made references to the emotional toll of raising children without her parents' support or enjoyment, which is already challenging while balancing a well-known career with motherhood. In a 2024 podcast with Katie Couric, she talked candidly about feeling like the odd woman out at Fox, and it's evident how these personal losses exacerbate her sense of isolation. She is making every effort to be there for her children, maybe, because she understands how fleeting those family moments may be. Jessica is tough, humorous, and persistent, so her story isn't totally dismal. These tragic facts, however, reveal a human aspect of her, living with health issues, losing loved ones too soon, and weathering public uproar. It reminds us that even the voices we see on TV every day have problems of their own kind. You think that knowing this changes how you see her on screen? Tell me.